Garrick was a man of simple habits, a 68-year-old retired schoolteacher who lived quietly in a small town surrounded by the gentle hum of nature. For years, his days were filled with the pleasures of routine, morning coffee on the porch, tending to his garden, and afternoons spent reading history books. But over the last several months, something had begun to change. What started as occasional forgetfulness, misplacing keys, forgetting names, slowly grew into a fog that clouded his mind. It was subtle at first, easy to dismiss as just part of aging. Yet one morning, after a simple conversation with his daughter, Garrick found himself struggling to follow what was being said. His confusion was unmistakable, and that was the moment fear quietly crept into his heart. A visit to the doctor confirmed what Garrick feared. He was told that some of the medications he'd been taking for years, drugs to help with his overactive bladder and allergies, might be contributing to his memory loss. The doctor explained gently that these medications belong to a class called Anticholinergics, which block certain chemicals in the brain vital for memory and thinking. Garrick was surprised. He had trusted these pills, believing they were harmless, but now he realized they might be quietly stealing pieces of his mind. The news was unsettling, yet the doctor's calm, compassionate tone gave Garrick hope, a chance to reclaim his mental clarity if he was willing to change. That conversation sparked the beginning of Garrick's journey, one filled with small but meaningful steps. He began by reviewing every pill he took, working closely with his healthcare team to understand which medicines carried risks and which could be replaced with safer alternatives. But it wasn't just about medications. Garrick slowly embraced a new lifestyle focused on nourishing his brain and body. Fresh fruits and vegetables became staples of his meals, rich in antioxidants and nutrients to support cognitive health. He added gentle daily walks in the crisp morning air and embraced mindfulness practices that helped clear the mental fog. It was a slow transformation, a tender rebuilding of his resilience and hope. Alongside these physical changes, Garrick's mindset shifted profoundly. Where once he felt resigned to the inevitability of decline, he now carried a quiet determination, a belief that the brain is capable of healing even in later years. This belief was not mere wishful thinking, it was grounded in science and experience. Garrick learned that the brain's plasticity allows it to adapt and recover when given the right conditions. Each day, as he practiced new habits and stayed informed, he felt a little more clarity returning, a little more light shining through the haze. This is Garrick's story, but it is also the story of millions silently facing similar struggles. Like Garrick, many are unaware that the very medications meant to improve their quality of life may also be putting their minds at risk. The journey from confusion and fear to awareness and hope is one worth sharing, especially for those who feel alone in their battle. In the coming minutes, we will explore the hidden dangers of anticholinergic medications and the steps that can help protect your brain. Together, we will uncover the truth with compassion and clarity, so you or your loved ones can make informed choices, because every mind deserves a chance to shine bright, no matter the years behind us. Garrick had always been a man of quiet routine, finding comfort in the small rhythms of his daily life. At 68, retired from teaching history at the local high school, his days were spent tending to his garden, reading by the window, and enjoying afternoon tea with his wife, Linda. For years, Garrick prided himself on his sharp memory, the names of former students, dates of historical events, even the recipes passed down in his family. But recently, subtle changes had begun to gnaw at his confidence. One morning, while chatting with his daughter on the phone, he found himself struggling to recall a simple name. The embarrassment was fleeting but unsettling, like a faint tremor beneath calm waters. At first, Garrick shrugged it off. Getting old, he thought. This is just how it goes. But the moments grew more frequent. He misplaced his keys, forgot appointments, and sometimes wandered into a room unsure why he had come there. The fog in his mind thickened, leaving him restless at night and anxious in the quiet hours. It was a slow, creeping sense of loss, the kind that no one talks about until it becomes impossible to ignore. Finally, prompted by Linda's gentle insistence, Garrick made an appointment with his doctor. During the visit, the doctor listened carefully, nodding with a mix of understanding and concern. He reviewed Garrick's medications, a list that had grown longer over the years. There was the pill for his overactive bladder, another to help with seasonal allergies, and a few supplements. Then came the explanation that changed everything. The doctor told Garrick about anticholinergic medications, a class of drugs that block acetylcholine, a vital chemical messenger in the brain responsible for memory, attention, and learning. Acetylcholine was like the conductor of an orchestra, guiding the neurons to work together in harmony. When blocked, the brain's music falters and cognition suffers. Hearing this, Garrick felt a mix of disbelief and worry. He had trusted these medications to help him live more comfortably. How could they also be quietly stealing parts of his mind? The doctor's tone was calm, assuring, emphasizing that not everyone experiences these effects, but long-term use, especially in older adults, increases the risk of cognitive decline and even dementia. The truth was sobering, yet Garrick found unexpected comfort in understanding the cause. At least now he wasn't alone or helpless. This knowledge was the first light piercing the fog. That evening, Garrick sat with Linda by the fireplace, the warmth of the flames mirroring the quiet hope growing inside him. He told her everything, the doctor's words, his fears, and the fragile glimmer of possibility. Linda reached out, taking his hand, her eyes steady and strong. "We face this together," she said softly. "We'll learn, we'll change, and we'll fight for your mind." Garrick's awakening was not just about the medications, but about a new awareness, a willingness to question, to seek alternatives, and to reclaim control. The invisible threat was real, but no longer hidden. It was a call to action, a turning point that would shape the months ahead. Over the next days, Garrick reflected deeply on the life he wanted to live. He envisioned mornings with clear thoughts, evenings full of stories shared with loved ones, and a future where he could once again trust his mind. The journey ahead would not be simple, but Garrick was ready. The first step had been taken, recognizing the invisible threat and refusing to let it define his story. In the quiet moments that followed, Garrick found solace in the understanding that the brain, much like his garden, could grow, heal, and adapt when nurtured with care and attention. This belief, tender and fragile as a new sprout, gave him strength, and so began Garrick's journey, not just a fight against medication side effects, but a journey toward hope, resilience, and rediscovery. After that pivotal visit to the doctor, Garrick felt a stirring inside, a mix of relief and responsibility. Relief because at last he understood what might be clouding his mind. Responsibility because the path forward required action, careful thought, and sometimes difficult conversations. He knew that the medications he'd taken for years weren't villains by themselves. They had helped him manage daily discomforts, eased his allergies, and allowed him a semblance of normalcy. But now he faced the delicate balance between benefit and risk. It was time to take control. Garrick began by gathering every pill, bottle, and supplement from his medicine cabinet. He laid them out on the kitchen table, studying labels and dosages as if seeing them for the first time. With Linda beside him, he made a list, names, amounts, times of day taken. Together, they brought this list to his pharmacist, an experienced woman named Mrs. Harper, who greeted them warmly. Mrs. Harper listened carefully and nodded knowingly when Garrick mentioned the doctor's warning about anticholinergic drugs. "You're wise to ask questions," she said softly. "Many people don't realize how their medications might affect the brain." In that consultation, Garrick learned an important truth. Not all medications with anticholinergic properties carry the same weight of risk. Some, like the over-the-counter allergy pills he took for years, had strong anticholinergic effects. Others were milder or had alternative options. Mrs. Harper explained the concept of anticholinergic burden, a way to measure how much a person's medications collectively block acetylcholine. It was like adding weights to a scale. Too much, and the brain struggled to function properly. This knowledge gave Garrick both clarity and hope. If he could reduce his anticholinergic burden by switching to safer alternatives or adjusting doses, perhaps he could lighten the load on his mind. It wouldn't be easy, but it was possible. Mrs. Harper promised to work with his doctor to carefully review each medication, considering benefits and potential harms. Garrick felt empowered for the first time in weeks. He realized that managing his health was a conversation, not a set of commands. Returning home, Garrick shared the experience with Linda. They spoke about how, in the past, patients often accepted prescriptions without question, trusting doctors implicitly. But today's healthcare encouraged partnership. Patients were urged to be informed advocates for themselves. Garrick was ready to become just that. He started journaling his symptoms, noting how he felt each day, any changes in memory or alertness. This simple act of awareness became a small ritual, a way to track progress and stay engaged. Alongside this, Garrick made subtle changes to his daily routine to support his brain health. He incorporated foods rich in antioxidants, fresh berries, leafy greens, nuts, which his doctor had mentioned as gentle allies for cognition. He took pleasure in preparing meals with vibrant colors and textures, savoring each bite as a step toward healing. These small, mindful choices helped him feel connected to his body in a new way, reinforcing the idea that healing was holistic. The conversations with his family deepened as well. His daughter, Emily, expressed her worries, but also her admiration for his determination. "Dad, I'm so proud you're taking charge," she said one afternoon, holding his hand. Her support was a balm, reminding Garrick that he was not alone in this journey. Together, they researched safer medications and lifestyle changes, finding comfort in community forums and stories of others facing similar challenges. Though the path was still uncertain, Garrick felt a renewed sense of agency. The invisible threat that once seemed overwhelming was now something he could meet with knowledge and action. He had moved from confusion to clarity, from fear to empowerment. His medication review was more than a checklist. It was a symbol of hope, a commitment to protect his mind for the days yet to come. And so Garrick's journey continued, each step a testament to the power of awareness and dialogue. Through thoughtful conversations with healthcare providers, attentive self-monitoring, and the support of loved ones, he embraced the responsibility to safeguard his cognitive health. It was not just about changing pills, it was about reclaiming his life, piece by piece. As Garrick settled into the new rhythm of managing his medications, he quickly realized that protecting his mind would require more than just adjusting pills. The doctor had spoken gently but clearly about how lifestyle, what he ate, how he moved, and even how he rested, played a vital role in brain health. This was a fresh chapter in Garrick's journey, one that invited him to nourish not just his body but the very essence of his memories and thoughts. Linda became his steadfast companion in this new endeavor. Together, they transformed their kitchen into a sanctuary of vibrant colors and fresh scents. Garrick discovered the simple joy of preparing meals rich in antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamins, foods the doctor had recommended to help fight inflammation and support cognitive function. Blueberries, leafy spinach, walnuts, and salmon gradually replaced the processed snacks and heavy meals of years past. Each bite felt like a small victory, a nourishing promise to his brain. The transition wasn't always easy. Garrick missed the convenience of quick meals and the comfort of old habits. But the warm smiles from Linda, the taste of a freshly baked salmon fillet, and the knowledge that these changes could slow cognitive decline encouraged him. One afternoon, as they sat eating a salad bursting with colors, Garrick remarked, "I didn't know healthy food could taste this good." Linda laughed. "It's not just good for your body, it's good for your mind." In addition to diet, Garrick embraced movement. The doctor had mentioned how even gentle exercise could boost blood flow to the brain, improve mood, and strengthen neural connections. He started taking short walks around the neighborhood, relishing the feel of the sun on his face and the rustle of leaves underfoot. These walks became a quiet meditation, a chance to clear the fog from his thoughts and reconnect with the world around him. Sometimes Emily joined him, their conversations weaving between memories and hopes. Sleep, once elusive and restless, began to improve as Garrick practiced better habits. He turned off screens earlier in the evening, dimmed the lights, and created a peaceful environment in his bedroom. He learned that quality sleep was crucial for memory consolidation, the brain's way of filing away the day's experiences. Slowly, he noticed less daytime fatigue and a sharper mind, small signs that his efforts were paying off. Throughout this lifestyle shift, Garrick remained deeply grateful for the support around him. His family's encouragement softened the challenges, and his doctor's regular check-ins reassured him that he was on the right path. One visit, the doctor smiled warmly and said, "You're not just managing your medications, you're becoming your own best medicine." Those words stuck with Garrick, fueling his resolve. The journey was still unfolding, and Garrick knew there would be days of doubt and difficulty ahead. But with each meal, each step, and each restful night, he felt himself reclaiming pieces of his mind and spirit. he began to understand that brain health was a lifelong dance of care and attention, a delicate balance between medicine, lifestyle, and heart. In these moments of quiet reflection, Garrick often thought back to the day he first heard about the hidden risks of his medications. What had seemed like a frightening revelation had transformed into an opportunity for growth and hope. His story was no longer just about loss, but about resilience. And with every mindful choice, Garrick was writing new pages in the story of his life. Pages filled with clarity, connection, and a renewed appreciation for the gift of memory. Garrick often found himself reflecting on how much had changed since that first visit to the doctor. The journey was not simply about adjusting medications or adopting a healthier lifestyle. It was about awakening a resolve he hadn't realized he possessed. With each passing day, Garrick's awareness of his condition deepened, not as a source of despair, but as a foundation for strength and proactive care. One afternoon, as Garrick sat in the living room leafing through an old photo album, he paused on a picture of his younger self standing proudly beside his students. Those memories, once hazy, now sparked with clarity. He understood that to preserve these moments, to keep creating new ones, required more than hope. It demanded vigilance. He became keenly aware of the subtle signs his mind gave him, the occasional slip in recalling a word or a slight hesitation in conversation, and rather than dismissing them, he noted them with a thoughtful eye. This heightened self-awareness was a turning point. Garrick began to recognize that early intervention was vital. The doctor had spoken often about how the brain's plasticity, its remarkable ability to adapt and heal, was strongest when challenges were met sooner rather than later. Armed with this knowledge, Garrick committed himself to being his own advocate in healthcare discussions. He didn't shy away from asking questions, from seeking second opinions, or from insisting on clarity whenever medication changes were proposed. Linda's role in this chapter of his journey grew ever more precious. She became not only his companion, but also his confidant and fierce supporter. When Garrick felt overwhelmed, questioning whether he could continue the fight, Linda's gentle reassurances were his anchor. "We're in this together," she reminded him one evening as they watched the sun dip behind the hills. Her unwavering belief in his strength was a balm to his fears. Family gatherings became a space of shared hope and understanding. Emily, his daughter, took an active role, researching the latest studies and sharing them with Garrick in ways that were clear and compassionate. Their conversations no longer skirted the edges of memory loss, but embraced it with honesty and determination to find solutions. These moments fostered connection, turning what could have been isolation into communal resilience. Through this support, Garrick realized an important truth. The fight against cognitive decline was not solitary. It was woven into the fabric of relationships and dialogue between patient, family, and healthcare team. Together, they formed a circle of protection around his mind, each member bringing strength and care. The doctor's advice echoed in Garrick's mind during every visit. Stay engaged, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of your own will. These words became a quiet mantra, a reminder that awareness and mindset were powerful tools in the face of uncertainty. Garrick practiced mindfulness and meditation, learning to calm the racing thoughts and welcome moments of peace. This inner work, though subtle, strengthened his capacity to face each day with clarity and calm. Amidst these personal battles, Garrick discovered a renewed appreciation for the simple joys that grounded him. Morning sunlight filtering through the curtains, the laughter of grandchildren, the scent of pine in the air during his walks. These moments were treasures, reminders that despite challenges, life held beauty and meaning. His journey was far from over, and some days were marked by frustration and fatigue. But Garrick no longer felt helpless. He had awakened to his own strength, bolstered by the love around him and the knowledge gained. The invisible threat of medication side effects and cognitive decline was still present, but it no longer defined him. Instead, it became a call to action, a daily invitation to live fully, mindfully, and with hope. And so Garrick continued forward, each day an act of courage and choice, writing a story not only of survival, but of resilience, connection, and the enduring power of the human spirit. As the weeks turned into months, Garrick found himself embracing a new way of living, one shaped not by fear but by informed choices and a growing sense of hope. The road had not been easy, change rarely is. Yet with each small adjustment, Garrick noticed a subtle strengthening within himself. His mind felt clearer on some days, and his confidence grew steadily, like the first shoots of spring after a long winter. One of the most profound changes came when Garrick and his doctor reviewed his medications together, choosing safer alternatives that carried less risk for his brain. The switch wasn't instantaneous or perfect, but it was a step toward protecting his cognitive health. Garrick learned that not all medications with anticholinergic effects were created equal. Some had milder impacts, and in many cases, newer drugs or non-pharmaceutical approaches offered effective relief without compromising memory. This realization brought relief and a renewed sense of control. Garrick became an advocate not only for himself, but for others in his community. He began sharing his story with friends and neighbors, gently encouraging them to review their medications and speak openly with their doctors. Awareness, he understood now, was a powerful shield against unseen dangers. At home, Garrick's daily rituals strengthened his resolve. He continued nourishing his body with brain-friendly foods, fresh fruits, whole grains, nuts, and oily fish rich in omega-3s. Cooking became a mindful act, a celebration of life and health rather than a chore. His evening walks with Linda remained a sacred time for connection, reflection, and gratitude. Perhaps most important was the patience Garrick cultivated. Recovery and protection of brain health were not swift journeys, but ongoing commitments. Some days brought frustration, moments when memories slipped or concentration waned, but Garrick learned to meet these times with kindness toward himself. He recognized that progress was often a mosaic of small victories rather than giant leaps. His family's support never wavered. Emily's visits were filled with laughter, books, and shared research on brain health. Linda's unwavering care wrapped Garrick in warmth. Together, they celebrated the milestones, clearer conversations, fewer moments of confusion, and above all, the joy of being present. Garrick's story was now one of hope, woven with threads of science, love, and resilience. He understood the fragility of the mind, but also its remarkable capacity to heal. This knowledge was not just personal, but universal, a message he carried gently to others facing similar fears. As Garrick looked toward the future, he felt a quiet confidence. The challenges were real, but so was his determination. With each informed choice, each moment of mindfulness, he was reclaiming his life and identity. The invisible threat that had once loomed so large was still present, but Garrick had learned to face it with courage and grace. This was not just a story of medication or memory, it was a testament to the enduring strength found in awareness, community, and the simple, profound power of hope. Months into his journey, Garrick often paused to reflect on how far he had come. What began as a quiet worry about slipping memory had blossomed into a story of resilience, learning, and profound connection. The challenges he faced had tested him deeply, but they had also revealed a strength he hadn't known resided within. Garrick understood now that protecting his mind was not a battle to be fought alone, nor a race with a fixed finish line, but an ongoing practice of care and awareness. One morning, as the sun cast its gentle glow through the kitchen window, Garrick sat with Linda sipping tea, feeling a calm he hadn't known in years. He noticed how his thoughts flowed more freely, how names and stories surfaced without the frustrating fog of before. It wasn't perfect, some days were harder, but the progress was real, and it was enough to inspire hope. He thought about the years ahead, imagining walks with his grandchildren, long conversations, and the comfort of familiar memories preserved. Garrick's journey had taught him that the brain's plasticity, the incredible ability to adapt and heal, was not just scientific jargon, but a living truth. The choices he made, the foods he ate, the movement he embraced, and the medications he adjusted all worked in harmony to nurture this resilience. And beyond the science, it was the love and support of his family and healthcare team that nourished his spirit and kept his resolve strong. With this newfound perspective, Garrick became a quiet advocate in his community. He shared his story with neighbors at the local center and encouraged friends to speak openly about their own health concerns. He reminded them gently that awareness was power, that understanding the medications they took, asking questions, and working collaboratively with doctors could make a profound difference. For many, Garrick's experience was a beacon of hope in uncertain times. Throughout his journey, Garrick never lost sight of the simple pleasures that gave life meaning. The warmth of the sun on his face during morning walks, the laughter of family gathered around the table, the scent of pine trees in the fresh air. All these moments were treasures he cherished deeply. They reminded him that life, with all its challenges, was still rich and beautiful. As Garrick looked toward the horizon, he knew that vigilance would remain essential. Cognitive health required ongoing attention, but it no longer felt like a burden. Instead, it was a commitment to living fully with awareness, grace, and hope. His story was far from over, but he faced the future with quiet confidence and a heart full of gratitude. For those watching, Garrick's experience offers a message: you are not alone. Hidden risks may surround us, but knowledge, care, and connection light the way forward. Protecting your mind is a journey worth taking, and every step counts. With courage and compassion, we can all nurture the most precious parts of ourselves, our memories, our thoughts, our very selves. Life had settled into a new rhythm for Garrick, one marked by ongoing mindfulness and a deep appreciation for the fragility and strength of the mind. His journey had taught him many lessons, but perhaps the most profound was that caring for cognitive health was a lifelong commitment, not a momentary fix. With each day that passed, Garrick embraced this reality, not with fear, but with steady resolve and hope. One quiet morning, Garrick sat with his journal in hand, reflecting on the path he had traveled. He thought about the days when confusion clouded his thoughts and the nights filled with restless worry. Those moments now seemed distant, softened by time and the care he had invested in himself. Yet he knew vigilance was key. Memory could falter again if he let down his guard, so he continued to track his symptoms and habits, remaining an active participant in his health journey. Garrick's story was no longer his alone. Through community meetings and informal chats at the local senior center, he shared his experience, honest, hopeful, and encouraging. Others listened, some nodding with recognition, others asking questions about how they too could protect their minds. Garrick became a gentle voice of empowerment, reminding his friends and neighbors that understanding medications, making lifestyle changes, and seeking support were powerful steps anyone could take. His family remained his greatest source of strength. Linda's caring presence was a daily comfort, and Emily's enthusiasm for new brain health research sparked lively discussions at the dinner table. Together, they celebrated small victories, a clearer conversation, a remembered name, a peaceful night's sleep. These moments, though seemingly ordinary, were milestones in Garrick's ongoing journey. Healthcare visits continued, but Garrick approached them as a partner rather than a passive patient. He asked questions, expressed concerns, and stayed informed about the latest treatments and recommendations. His doctor praised this engagement, noting that patients like Garrick who take active roles often experience better outcomes. This partnership brought Garrick a sense of control and reassurance that he had lacked before. The community around Garrick began to shift as well. Conversations about brain health became more open, stigma faded, and people felt empowered to seek help and share their stories. Garrick was proud to see how awareness could ripple outward, transforming not just individual lives, but the collective understanding of aging and cognitive care. Despite the progress, Garrick acknowledged that uncertainty remained. Aging was a complex journey with many unknowns, yet he no longer faced it alone or helpless. Each day brought new challenges and opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow. He found peace in this balance between caution and courage, between accepting limitations and striving for wellness. In quiet moments, Garrick often returned to the lessons of his journey: the importance of asking questions, the power of community, and the hope found in knowledge. These truths became his guideposts, illuminating a path forward not just for himself, but for anyone navigating the delicate terrain of memory and mind. Garrick's story was a testament to human resilience, a reminder that even in the face of invisible threats and daunting challenges, the spirit can find strength. Through awareness, support, and deliberate care, the mind can be protected and cherished. This ongoing journey, marked by vigilance and hope, was Garrick's gift to himself and to those who would walk a similar path. Garrick's journey had evolved from a deeply personal battle into a source of inspiration for many around him. As the months passed, he found a new purpose in sharing what he had learned, not only about the hidden risks of certain medications, but also about the power of knowledge, lifestyle, and community. His story became a beacon of hope, gently encouraging others to take charge of their own brain health. One afternoon, Garrick was invited to speak at a local community center where seniors gathered to learn about wellness and aging. Standing before the group, he felt a mixture of nerves and gratitude. But as he began to share his experience, his fears, his mistakes, and his victories, the room grew quiet and attentive. Garrick spoke not as an expert, but as a fellow traveler, offering honest reflections and heartfelt advice. He emphasized the importance of asking questions, of reviewing medications regularly with doctors and pharmacists, and of never accepting answers without understanding. Garrick reminded his audience that cognitive decline was not an inevitable part of aging and that many steps could be taken to protect the mind. He shared simple habits, nourishing foods, regular movement, mental engagement that had helped him regain clarity and confidence. The response was overwhelming. Many attendees approached Garrick afterward, sharing their own stories and concerns. Some confessed they had never considered the cognitive effects of their medications. Others were eager to make changes but unsure where to start. Garrick listened patiently, offering encouragement and reassurance. It was clear that awareness was the first, most vital step. Back home, Garrick's family celebrated his newfound role. Linda joked that he had become the town's memory coach, and Emily researched ways to support his outreach efforts online and in print. Together, they developed flyers and information sheets to distribute, hoping to reach even those who couldn't attend community events. Despite his advocacy, Garrick remained humble. He knew his journey was ongoing, filled with ups and downs. Some days were difficult, with moments of forgetfulness or frustration. Yet he faced these challenges with patience and self-compassion, recognizing that progress was rarely linear. Each step forward, no matter how small, was a victory worth celebrating. Garrick also rediscovered the joy of living fully in the present. He cherished the laughter of grandchildren, the quiet beauty of morning light, and the comforting embrace of routine. These moments, rich with meaning, reminded him that life's value was measured not only in memory, but in connection, love, and presence. His story, once marked by uncertainty, now radiated hope. Garrick had transformed from a man shadowed by hidden risks to a vibrant advocate for brain health and aging with dignity. Through awareness, informed choices, and the support of loved ones, he had reclaimed not only his mind, but his life. For those watching, Garrick's experience offers a powerful message. You are not alone on this journey. The hidden dangers in medications and lifestyle can be confronted with courage and knowledge. Together, through community and compassion, we can protect the precious gift of memory and live each day with intention and joy. As Garrick's journey continued to unfold, he often found himself reflecting on how awareness had changed not just his life, but his very outlook on aging and health. What once seemed like a daunting and isolating battle had transformed into a shared mission, one grounded in vigilance, compassion, and continuous learning. Garrick understood that protecting his mind required more than momentary effort. It was a lifelong commitment. Each morning, Garrick began with quiet moments of reflection, appreciating the clarity he had regained and acknowledging the work still ahead. He kept a journal, not just to track his medications or symptoms, but to note his thoughts, feelings, and goals. Writing became a way to connect with himself, to stay grounded in the present while preparing for whatever challenges might come. Vigilance remained central to his approach. Garrick knew that cognitive health could fluctuate and that setbacks were part of the process. But rather than fear these moments, he met them with patience and resolve. He regularly checked in with his healthcare team, ensuring his medications remained appropriate and his lifestyle choices supported his brain's needs. Family continued to be Garrick's anchor. Linda's steady presence and Emily's enthusiastic research gave him strength and hope. Together, they discussed new studies and strategies, always eager to learn and adapt. This sense of partnership deepened their bond and reinforced Garrick's belief that no one should face cognitive decline alone. Garrick also became more attuned to the subtle signs of cognitive change, not only in himself, but in friends and neighbors. He encouraged open conversations about brain health, hoping to reduce stigma and promote early intervention. His gentle reminders to others to review their medications and embrace healthy habits were acts of care, extending his journey beyond his own experience. Through these reflections, Garrick realized that aging, with all its complexities, held beauty and opportunity. Protecting the mind was part of honoring life's unfolding story, a story rich with memories, connections, and growth. He embraced each day as a gift, determined to live fully and consciously. For those watching Garrick's story, the message was clear. Awareness and vigilance empower us to protect our cognitive health. Through ongoing care, support, and self-compassion, we can face the future with strength and hope. As Garrick looked back over his journey, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. The path had been filled with uncertainty and challenge, but also with moments of profound growth and connection. What began as a quiet struggle with memory and medication side effects had evolved into a powerful story of resilience, hope, and purposeful living. Garrick often thought about the many people who might be facing similar challenges, those who felt lost or overwhelmed by the complexities of aging and health. He wished for them the same clarity and courage he had found. His experience taught him that knowledge was a gift, one that could transform fear into empowerment. By understanding the hidden risks and taking proactive steps, anyone could protect their mind and nurture their spirit. Family remained at the heart of Garrick's life. Linda's unwavering support and Emily's compassionate involvement were constant sources of strength. Together, they celebrated not only the milestones in Garrick's cognitive health, but the simple joys that made life meaningful. The laughter shared around the dinner table, quiet walks in the park, and stories told under a starlit sky. Garrick embraced each day with a renewed sense of purpose. He continued to prioritize brain-healthy habits, mindful eating, gentle exercise, mental engagement, and maintained his active role in healthcare decisions. But beyond that, he committed to living fully, appreciating the present, and sharing his story to inspire others. He understood that aging was not just about loss, but about adaptation, resilience, and the capacity to find joy despite challenges. His journey was a testament to the human spirit's remarkable ability to heal and thrive when given the chance. Garrick's legacy was one of hope, a reminder that even in the face of hidden dangers, we have the power to choose awareness, care, and connection. For those watching, Garrick's story offers a gentle invitation to look closely at your own health, to ask questions, to seek support, and to embrace the journey with compassion. Protecting your mind is a lifelong endeavor, but one rich with possibility. With knowledge, love, and determination, we can all write our own stories of resilience and hope. As we've followed Garrick's journey, we've seen two powerful transformations unfold. First, the awakening when he recognized the hidden impact his medications could have on his memory and took the brave step to learn and ask questions. Then, the deep shift toward active care, reviewing his medications, embracing brain-healthy habits, and leaning on the love and support of his family. These changes brought not only clearer days, but a renewed sense of hope and purpose. Garrick's story invites each of us to gently reflect on our own lives. Are we aware of the medications we take and their possible effects? Have we embraced the small daily choices that nurture our mind and body? It's never too late to start these conversations with doctors, with loved ones, and with ourselves. Awareness is the first step toward protecting the precious gift of memory and cognitive health. If Garrick's journey teaches us anything, it's that resilience is born from knowledge and connection. By taking thoughtful, informed action, we can slow cognitive decline, support our brain's remarkable ability to heal, and continue living fully with those we love. So, let this be an invitation. Look closely, ask boldly, and care deeply. Your mind deserves that kindness because every memory, every thought, every moment of clarity is a treasure worth protecting. And the best chapters of your story are still waiting to be written.